Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew DeSantis,
And I'm Kaylie Shapiro.
and welcome to the NYRA Bets preview of the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup at Keeneland. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to this race preview here on NYRA Bets YouTube. Make sure to press that like and subscribe button today. I'm joined, as always, by my colleague Kaylie Shapiro as we preview a really fun Grade 1 down at Keeneland. And we just got back from Keeneland, but we got to talk about a big race this weekend and always some great racing on the turf, in particular down in Lexington.
Definitely. And I thought that this field drew up pretty strong. You have the undefeated Laurelin coming
Yeah.
here. Kendrick's riding at Keeneland. Pretty interesting. And then you
Yeah.
also have a lot of other horses that are very strong win contenders as well. And I know me and you both feel strongly about one in particular. So
Yeah.
I thought it was a really big, good field and
Yeah.
pretty good betting race, it looks like, too.
Very nice field. And this is, again, for 3-year-old fillies going long on the turf. And it's a nice group of 3-year-old fillies we have this year running on the turf. You mentioned Laurelin, undefeated for Graham Motion, perfect 5 for 5, actually. And then you got Fionn, who we both like a lot, I think. You got Lush Lips. You have a Euro Invader, the number 3 Simmering. So a lot of great racing to take a look at here. But let's dive into this field, led by, as you mentioned, your morning line favorite, the undefeated Laurelin, number 2 here. This is a horse that's 5-2 in the morning line, has the definition of having never done anything wrong. Perfect 5 for 5, has handled a yielding turf, good turf, firm turf, has gone a mile and 3/16, has gone a mile, really has passed every test. But Kaylie, one of the things that really stuck out to me is hasn't necessarily faced the elite competition in this 3-year-old filly turf group. Most notably, hasn't faced Nitrogen, hasn't faced Fionn yet.
Definitely. And I think that if this horse wasn't coming in off a layoff and was coming in having faced maybe the elite that we've seen from this division, I wouldn't be trying to play against. I mean, like you had said, the horse has really done nothing wrong, but I just think coming into this off a layoff, hasn't faced really many of these, has not faced Fionn yet whatsoever. I think that it's a good opportunity to play against the horse. And also Graham Motion doesn't have the best of stats for graded stakes at Keeneland. So that was another reason that I viewed to play against the horse. Although there's not really a true knock, I do believe she's also gotten really good trips in all of her starts as well.
She has. She is the definition of kind of a trip queen in some ways, where she just seems to get the perfect trip. Now, I sometimes will push back against that because people go, oh, she got the perfect trip. And I'll say, it's funny how some horses always manage to work out the perfect trip.
Right.
In other words, some horses have this sort of speed that she has to put herself in a position early so that she doesn't get in trouble, that she's not blocked behind 5 horses coming for home, that she's not being steadied at the rail. And so some horses just put themselves into positions to have successful trips time and time and time again. And other horses put themselves in positions to consistently have poor trips time and time and time again. Laurelin is the former, always puts herself in the right spot. Graham is always very tough. Now, you mentioned not a great record at Keeneland over the last 5 years, 0 for 12 in turf graded stakes races. Some of those were the Breeders' Cup. And so sometimes you got to take those with a little bit of a grain of salt because he had some big prices in those races and weren't necessarily expecting to win, things like that. But still, Kendrick does not usually ride down at Keeneland. I think that's at least a little bit of a concern, just how he rides that turf course that he's not particularly familiar with. Been riding obviously well up here at Belmont at the Big A. And listen, she's gotten progressively faster in every single start. 72, 76, 80, 84, 94 on the buyers, but I do wonder if there's a little bit of regression from that last race.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, it's certainly coming in off a layoff as well. You do have to question it if this horse is going to regress. And to me, she'd have to run back either the same or take a little bit of a step up here to get the job done, which I didn't really see the possibility of. And I also think that she should have some company up front. I know that she can track right off the pace. I just don't know if she's going to work out the dream trip, maybe that she's been able to her credit in all of her starts. But I know that the number 5 Opulent Restraint has some speed. And I also know that the number 1 Lush Lips has really good speed as well. So those 2 horses are going to, give some company up on the front end as well and could make her job a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get to Lush Lips and Opulent Restraint, who you and I both kind of like in that second position, you like Lush Lips, I like Opulent Restraint, I think for maybe some of the same reasons. Let's talk about the horse we ultimately landed on up top, which is Fionn. And it's funny that a dirt 3-year-old filly has an impact on how we both view this race. But the bottom line is Fionn beat Nitrogen. And what did Nitrogen do? She came back to win the Alabama, and we saw her nearly win the Spinster this past weekend against older fillies and mares at Keeneland on the dirt. And the fact that she was able to beat her on what we both think is Nitrogen's better surface is quite telling.
Yeah, definitely. And Nitrogen can run on either surface. That's pretty clear.
Right.
I mean, runs really well on the turf and has done nothing but improve on the dirt.
Yeah.
If she stayed on the turf, you'd imagine Nitrogen would have continued to improve on the turf as well, because I think
so too,
she's just that good of a filly. So I certainly put weight in the fact that Fionn is the only horse that's beaten Nitrogen in here. I mean, Nitrogen got the better of her once, but Fionn did beat Nitrogen in Saratoga in the Belmont Oaks Invitational.
Yeah.
And that to me really stuck out. And she's 2 for 2 with Flavian Pratt in the last 2. And I also like that she has a race under her belt at Kentucky Downs prior to coming into this off of those, summer races up at Saratoga. So as opposed to the 2, this one has a race under her belt coming in here. And, she draws to the far outside. She's been hung wide in mostly all of her races.
Actually, it's funny,
She truly has never really run a bad race. I mean, on debut and then over the good turf at Keeneland, she's done nothing but win in all of her other starts. To me, that 91 that she ran in the Belmont Oaks Invitational, like I said, I mean, I'd imagine she's going to be able to take a step up here off of that start that she got in between, as opposed to the number 2.
Laurelin. Yeah, I agree with you about that. I think that when you look at getting that race at Kentucky Downs and being able to win at Kentucky Downs, I mean, this is a horse coming off 3 consecutive wins, a Group 1, a Grade 1, a Grade 2, and a Grade 3, the last 3 times out. She can go the mile and an eighth. She went a mile and 5/16 last time over that undulating turf course in the Dueling Ground Oaks at Kentucky Downs. You mentioned Pratt being aboard the last 2 times out. She doesn't have maybe the tactical speed that and I know people will push back and say horses don't have tactical speed. Yes. But the ability to be placed tactically. She doesn't necessarily have that same speed that Laurelin has, but she also doesn't have to be a deep closer. She can sit 3-4 lengths off the pace and then make a move depending on how things play out.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Pratt tries to get her up maybe mid-pack just to be able to save ground from that far outside post a little bit going into the first turn.
Definitely. And I don't really think that it matters for her what the pace setup is. I mean, she's gotten the job done in multiple scenarios, either, a fast pace, moderate pace. It doesn't seem to really matter too much for Fionn. And I do like the fact that she's 3-1 as opposed to 5-2 that you're getting on Laurelin. And not to mention, a lot of the horses, like we said, from the Belmont Oaks Invitational have improved in their next starts, like Nitrogen. And then if I looked at the Saratoga Oaks Invitational where Laurelin was running, none of those horses that have run back have improved. All of them have regressed. Also regressed significantly. Like I'm talking 14 buyer speed figure points. Like they've all regressed. Anyone that's run back. So that to me was another thing that I put weight in. I really like Fionn's chances. Yeah,
listen, you and I both land on Fionn as a top pick, but let's talk about where you're going underneath, and I'll talk a little bit about where I'm going. You really like the number 1 Lush Lips for trainer Brendan Walsh. A horse that was doing it all up on the front end until about 3 races ago. And it seemed like there was a tactical decision by Walsh to have this horse right off the pace. And to her credit, she's won from off the pace. And man, nobody's hotter right now at Keeneland than Brendan Walsh.
Well, you said it. That's certainly, part of the reason why I liked her here. Brendan Walsh is her trainer, Tyler Gaffleone. Pretty good team out at Keeneland. And I literally love Lush Lips. Like, to me, she's the biggest upset. You can't call it an upset. I mean, she's 5-1. Clearly she fits with the field. But if I'm going to guess if anyone here is to beat Fionn, to me it could be Lush Lips, sitting a trip probably really close up to the pace, I'd imagine nearby the number 5 Opulent Restraint. But also looking at the other speed in here, I mean, I'd imagine Opulent Restraint is going to go up on the lead.
So that's, let's talk about that.
I wouldn't be surprised though, if they tried to get her more involved early than she has been in the last 3. I'm not talking up on the lead, like maybe she used to run, but I think that she can sit second and she has a really good shot. I mean, she's done nothing but but improve.
Yeah.
Especially in those last two. She's improved
Yeah.
stretching out last time, going a mile in an eighth.
Yeah.
And also look at her record. I mean, she's never been out of the exacta.
Except for twice. Yeah.
Exactly. So for me, I really like her chances. I have no issues with her drawing the rail here. I mean, she has good speed to get out of the gate. And I like the way Tyler Gaffalione rides her as well. They've never finished out of the exacta together. Yeah. I like Lush Lips' chances.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because it's one thing to say, well, she's not doing it up front anymore. Mm-hmm. The interesting part is like she's been doing it from like mid-pack now. Mm-hmm. It's not like they just turned her into like a tracker or a stalker. Mm-hmm. Like they turned her in a mid-pack, almost a closer in some instances. And so you're right. The opportunity is here because there is not much speed in this race. When you go through and look at who else is going to be up on the lead, it really is Opulent Restraint's race to lose in that regard. I mean, Opulent Restraint should be up there on the front end. 100%. The question is, what does Tyler and Brendan look at this and go, we got to get this horse back up there up front because otherwise Opulent Restraint's going to walk the dog up front. And then what are we going to do? Let Laurelin have first jump? Because Laurelin could have very easily take that second spot if you're not careful on the inside rail and you're Lush Lips. So if you're Lush Lips, I'd imagine you want to get there sitting just behind Opulent Restraint and kind of have Laurelin to your outside.
100%, which I like that type of trip for Lush Lips. I mean, I'd imagine she could just sit right off Opulent Restraint and get the job done that way. And Opulent Restraint, in my opinion, is going to get burnt out if she's up on the front end. I mean, she's coming into this off a layoff as well. And to me, you see how it worked out for her up on the lead. I mean, she faded. Yeah. So to me, I have her in the mix. You know, I think I have Opulent Restraint in fourth here. Yeah. But I do think that she's going to get passed at the end, and Lush Lips is going to get first jump maybe at a horse like Laurelin, which is why I have her, you know, rated a little higher than Laurelin here.
So I have Opulent Restraint second. And listen, Chad Brown's 0 for 7 at Keeneland right now during the fall meet. He does have 3 runner-up finishes. Part of the reason I like this horse in this spot is, if you remember, she was part of that bang, bang, bang finish with Fionn and Nitrogen in that Belmont Oaks Invitational. Yes, she got passed late, but she really hung in there and she didn't give up. And she earned that 89 buyer. Fionn and Nitrogen, I think, both got a 91. But Opulent Restraint showed the ability. She can get a mile and an eighth in terms of she's not going to fade entirely. Most importantly, look who was on her that day, Joel Rosario. We talk about Joel as being a great closer on the turf, and he is that. Joel Rosario, in my opinion, is even better when he's on the front end with a speed horse. And if Tyler and Brendan get too cute with Lush Lips and they go, well, we'll sit mid-pack again, there's nobody else who's going to press this horse. And then you have Joel going 113, 114 to the 6 furlong on a horse that can easily get that distance because, look, they went 46-3 and 110 flat going a mile and an eighth. They were cooking up front, and that was also with Opulent Restraint having a 2-length lead and basically just let the horse loose up front at a big price, nearly hung on to pull off the upset against these two. You're not getting the same price you did that day, 19-1. But I do like Opulent Restraint at 4-1. I just think there is a scenario where she could get loose up front and wire this field potentially if everybody else falls asleep at the wheel.
And that's exactly why I have her in the mix. I mean, it really does depend on what Lush Lips does here. If she decides to go out and sit close to Opulent Restraint. I mean, I'll probably have Opulent Restraint on my tickets. I'll probably try to play against Laurelin, you know, even though I have her rated above. But the two scenarios I see are that it sets up perfectly for Fionn, who sits the trip she usually does, or this one runs away with it, or maybe Lush Lips does. That's why I'll have those 3 on my tickets, because there's not a whole lot of speed in here, and that's a pretty scary thought. And I mean, coming in off a layoff, obviously I said maybe she could get tired, although she's proven to have the stamina to do it before. That was off a layoff, the Belmont Oaks, and also Chad Brown is deadly off a layoff as well. I mean, look at his stats. So to me, I mean, Opulent Restraint certainly has a pretty good shot here. I don't love the fact that you have to swallow 4-1, but she probably is one that will end up on my tickets.
I don't either. She went off as the overwhelming favorite in that Saratoga Oaks, which I didn't love. She was not that good to go off at 7-5 that day, especially with Laurelin in the field. That was actually a gift that we got Laurelin that day, and I think 2-1. But I want to talk a little bit about another horse that I have in my top 4, and that's Destino d'Oro. 8-1 on the morning line, 4-trainer Brad Cox. This is a horse that has been favored in 4 of 5 career starts, has won 3 of 5 career starts, won the pucker up 2 back at Ellis Park, then went to Kentucky Downs in that dueling ground Oaks, finished 6th. I'm always willing to draw a line through those races at Kentucky Downs just because some horses love it, some horses don't. Some horses respond well to it, some horses don't. Prior to that race, if you draw a line through that one, it was nothing but improvement. 77, 73, 81, 85. This horse was getting faster and faster. Won a grade 3 after winning against Allowance Company. Got the mile and an eighth distance. That wasn't an issue. Could sit that sort of tracking trip. Could close from the clouds as well. A lot of versatility here. Had Luan Machado up on the mount. Look who takes over on Saturday. Irad Ortiz Jr. Let me tell you something. Irad's taken to Kentucky pretty well.
Yeah.
He's winning 21% of his mounts. I think 8-1 is a much more honest price on this horse. And I really like to use this horse kind of underneath in my exactas, trifectas, and supers.
I love the strategy of using this horse underneath at this price, 100%. To me, when I looked at this horse, I had a fear that number, that 8-1 is probably going to be cut in half, if not way more than half. And then I didn't like the horse too much at that price, which I'm sure you would agree with. I mean, this is very much an underneath play. Look at the figures, a little light. Sure, she could take a step up, and certainly you see Irad taking the mount. That's nothing to turn a blind eye at.
No, not at all.
But to me, I mean, the trend that I've seen with really any horse Irad's up, if they're 15-1 on the morning line, they're going off at 3-1. It's not even normal.
You would think Lexington's in one of the boroughs, the way that he's getting bet. Like we're up here in New York.
It's true. At this price, though, I do like the horse underneath.
Let me say this, though. This is one of my favorite angles, and I also know it's a Hall of Famer, one of his favorite angles. That's the Hall of Famer, Nick Zito. Nick told you this, and then I told you this independently. So great minds think alike, me and Nick, But a horse that has consistently been a favorite and that's kind of disappointed once or twice, and now you suddenly get at a price. Man, I love betting those types of horses, and I've had a lot of success with that angle. You see those stars next to those horses' odds, and all of a sudden you look over, you see 6-1, 8-1, 10-1. That's the time to hammer it, because there's clearly something that people like about this horse. And it's obvious when you look at the page what people like about it. Versatility, ascending speed figures. There's a lot to like there. The connections, Brad Cox. But now you're finally getting the honest price. Now, whether you get that come post time, we'll see. I think it helps to have Laurelin and Fionn in the field.
Definitely.
That'll keep the price honest. And Opulent, Restraint too. So I think there's enough quality in this field that's Destino Oro. 6-1, I'd still throw this horse in underneath.
The
horse goes to 4-1.
100%. 6-1, I think, is my sweet spot. 6-1 or up, I throw this horse in an exotic bet, a try, a super, 100%. Take a stab at that one. But for me, I mean, the biggest upset. Obviously, me and you are both really big in on Fionn. To me, I am not going to be surprised when Lush Lips. It's finally, the day where she takes that big step up and has a bit of a breakthrough race. She's always been one of my favorite fillies on the turf for sure. And to me, she was the biggest upset contender here, maybe.
No, I think so. Out of those top 5 or 6 choices, I think you're right. Now, I will mention, because I can hear the people on the other side of the screen going, Matthew, Kaylie, what about the Euro? Come on, you got to talk about the Euro. Listen, the number 3 simmering, 10-1 for Ali Sangster. Louis Saez up on the mount. The horses faced a better caliber of horses overseas, for sure. When you see Lake Victoria and Desert Flower, you go, hello, those are great fillies. Has not run as well at 3 as she did at 2. She was a very good juvenile. Won the Group 3 Princess Margaret, won the Group 2 Calvados over in Deauville. Okay. Then she ran against Lake Victoria, finished second that day to Lake Victoria, who we then saw just absolutely demolish the field in the juvenile fillies turf. Has come back at 3 and just has not quite been as good. Did get a third in the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket. Absolutely. We'll see. Maybe she pops. She's a hard one to get a hold of. Maybe I'd throw her in on some tickets at a 10-1, an honest price if you like her.
She's gonna float up.
She's good, but it's interesting. I will say one thing I like is that she has a local work over the Keeneland turf.
Yeah, at least there's
which you don't always see from Euros.
For sure, at least there's that. Because for me, I just always wait and see with these types of horses, this exact profile, where it's the horse isn't getting into the winner's circle. And granted, it is up against Lake Victoria. Obviously, Lake Victoria, I mean,
very accomplished
is a
filly.
very accomplished filly. But for me, I'm just looking at the form coming over here for the first time and stretching out to a mile and an eighth. That's the part, is the stretch out as well. Not only will she have to handle, you know, a track here in America for the first time, but she'll have to go a mile and an eighth off of a mile for the first time. That to me is the only concern. I'll wait and see.
We will wait and see. We'll see how that plays out. But listen, it's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday. We also have a lot of great racing up here at Belmont at the Big A, the Glen Cove Stakes, going 6 furlongs on the turf. We have that race. So a lot of great ones. And you're going to be highlighting a maiden race of the week at Keeneland on Saturday, right?
Absolutely. Another one on the turf. Lots of turf this week.
A lot of turf this week. We also have capping the card for Saturday at Keeneland. So we'll see if you and I agree about this maiden race, because that's going to be part of capping the card. I don't know. I'm not going to watch what you do before I watch what I do. So I don't like to watch everybody else's opinions, even yours. So listen, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great day of racing. We're going to have a lot more content for you here on NYRA Bets. So make sure to press that like and subscribe button. Some really fun Breeders' Cup content coming up here in the coming days and weeks. So make sure to like and subscribe today. For Kaylie Shapiro, my name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and prosperous day at the races. And reminding you, friends, it's now post time.